Switzerland is well known for its richness, in addition to its high cost of living, and for good reason. According to Swiss National Bank data, the average asset size of Swiss citizens is $481,000. For the wealthiest, the last 2 decades have been a golden age. Adult wealth increased by 53% between 2000 and 2019. According to a Credit Suisse analysis from 2020, adults in Switzerland had the greatest levels of wealth worldwide. In fewer than 9 million countries, there are 800,000 millionaires. Most astonishingly, the study discovered that 1.7% of the world's wealthiest 1% reside in Switzerland. This is true even though Switzerland only makes up 0.1% of the global population. Rich foreigners have traditionally been drawn to Switzerland because of the country's high earnings, steady economy, and favorable tax rates. Around half of Switzerland's multi-millionaires are foreigners, and more than 25% of the population has roots outside of Switzerland. High prices are a result of wealthy residents. According to research conducted by CEO World magazine in 2020, Switzerland is the most expensive country in the world to live in. There isn't just one factor behind Switzerland's economic success. The country's banking system is frequently cited as the reason for its financial success, although the actual causes are more nuanced. Before we begin exploring why Switzerland is so rich, we would like to remind you to subscribe while hitting the bell icon for more interesting content and mind-teasing videos. Did you subscribe? Great! Let's begin. Switzerland is home to the world's largest machine. Science and engineering have a long and illustrious history in Switzerland. It should therefore not be surprising that it is the location of the renowned Large Hadron Collider. The greatest high-energy particle collider in the world, constructed by the European Organization for Nuclear Research, CERN. It is located close to Geneva, inside a 27-kilometers tunnel. Switzerland has a rich sporting history. Switzerland has performed admirably on the international stage despite being a relatively tiny country. In 2008, the nation co-hosted the European Championships with Austria, and in 1954, it made it all the way to the quarterfinals of the World Cup. However, classic alpine sports like Schwingen, Swiss wrestling, can pique your attention more than the World Cup. It also makes a lot of money from this sector. Switzerland is well prepared for conflict. Given the volatile nature of the European history, it is probably a good idea to be on the safe side and anticipate the worst. The Swiss have indeed accomplished it. One defense tactic is to stockpile explosives at all of the country's principal entry points. Along the Swiss border, there are almost 3,000 bridges, roads, and train lines that are ready to blow at any time. Switzerland doesn't worry about internal matters, instead, is entirely focused on the nation's financial situation. Shimmering Lake. A stunning, unspoiled lake will always provide a little bit of charm to every shot. And if you get a chance to reside in Switzerland, you undoubtedly have a good selection. Throughout Switzerland, there are more than 7,000 lakes in the nation. Lake Geneva is unquestionably the most well-known. However, if you travel through the wonderful Swiss countryside, you won't have any trouble locating your own little lagoon. Additionally, it is a destination for tourists from all over the world. The wealthiest people in Switzerland. The Swiss economy, like any other prosperous free trade market, has produced a group of elites, wealthy businesspeople who possess a variety of assets. The wealthiest people in Switzerland work in a variety of fields, although it is apparent that high-tech fields are popular among this group. Ernesto Bertarelli, the owner of the German-based pharmaceutical business Maxerano, is one of these people. He was the richest person in Switzerland in 2021, with an estimated net worth of $8.7 billion USD. Rahel Blocher, who is a Swiss businesswoman and one of the main shareholders in the multinational chemical company EMS Chemie, is the second wealthiest person in Switzerland. Magdalena Martula Blocher is the third highest shareholder in EMS Chemie, after her sister. $8.2 billion is reportedly the combined net worth of the two sisters. Ivan Glasenberg follows next with an estimated net worth of $9 billion and acquired his money in the mining sector. Hans-Georg Weiss is ranked 5th. The philanthropist who is now retired served as Synthos Holding AG CEO and president. His current net worth is thought to be $5.2 billion. Swiss neutrality and Nazi gold. Switzerland was permitted to trade with both sides involved in the war during World War II since it was a neutral nation. As we've already established, Switzerland lacks the raw materials it needs, therefore it depends on its neighbors, Germany and Italy, for these commodities as well as other requirements like food. In this case, Switzerland kept up the trade and even purchased gold from the German Reichsbank, despite the fact that bank executives were aware the gold had been taken from the central banks of occupied countries like Poland. The Swiss people found this choice and other actions taken during World War II to be very contentious, and a commission was established to examine Switzerland's actions and respond to the criticism. The commission was led by historian François Berger, and in 2002 it came to the conclusion that while the Swiss government had welcomed Jewish refugees during the Holocaust, it had also participated in some dubious actions. Inheritance. Inheritance wealth totaling around $66 billion was received by Swiss citizens in 2015. According to Swiss inheritance regulations, some family members may be forced to become heirs. This means that, regardless of what is said in a person's will or last testament, the relatives cannot be denied an inheritance. Therefore, from the remaining half of the deceased person's wealth, at least 75% must go to the deceased person's children or grandchildren. At least half of the deceased person's fortune must go to his or her spouse. This inheritance legislation prevents disproportionate income distribution among immediate family members and allows people to escape poverty with the aid of their family members. Political stability. Political stability was found to be one of the most important variables in a recent study that looked at the key sectors that increase Switzerland's competitiveness in the international market. Direct democracy and a neutrality policy have protected the nation from both domestic and foreign warfare. The stability also made it possible for Swiss businesspeople and the government to concentrate their efforts on advancing trade and industry rather than using resources to end armed conflicts. Additionally, political stability has contributed to the prosperity of Swiss banking and finance. Wealthy people frequently opted to preserve their funds in Swiss banks, either in the form of gold savings or Swiss francs, during periods of world wars or other unrest because other currencies were unstable at the time. Industrialization. Switzerland recognized the necessity to connect to many economic hubs after the nation's unification through the financial constitution, and it did so by building railroads. Private business owners constructed these railways, with the first line connecting Zurich and Baden being constructed in 1847. The Swiss Federal Railways, SBB, which has since remained one of the most advanced transportation systems in the world and a cornerstone for the Swiss economy. Initially, it was not centralized until 1902, when the Confederation purchased the 5 major businesses. The little arable land and raw material resources in the nation also had an impact on industrialization. As a result, it used its strategically advantageous location as a commerce route to import raw materials and then process them into high-end products. Banking and finance. The banks founded in the early 19th century to finance significant construction projects serve as the foundation for contemporary banking organizations in Switzerland. Alfred Escher, the owner of the Creditanstalt Bank, founded one of these institutions. Later, the bank adopted the Credit Suisse name and grew to be one of the biggest investment banks in the world. Since they were primarily interested in larger investments, reformers were compelled to establish smaller banks that offer financial services to the general public. The Swiss National Bank was established in 1907. It was charged with creating the nation's monetary policy and releasing Swiss banknotes. The post-World War II crisis, which reduced the bank's assets in half, had an effect on many economic sectors, including banking and finance. The nation followed a deflationary policy, with the Swiss franc depreciating by 30% in 1936. The establishment of the bank's legal secrecy measures, which made Swiss banks a popular choice for many affluent Europeans, especially European Jews fleeing the Nazi persecution, was another post-war reform to the Swiss financial system. Today, with a contribution to the GDP of more than 10%, finance is still a significant sector of the Swiss economy. With this last part, we have reached the end of our video. Just a reminder, if you enjoyed this video, smash the like button, and don't forget to subscribe while hitting the bell icon for more mind-teasing videos. Thanks for watching. Until the next one.